Welcome. Today, we're going to be breaking down a really powerful and important novel, The Hate U Give by Angie Thomas.
I mean, this book wasn't just a success, it was a full-blown cultural phenomenon. It shot to the top of bestseller lists, it won some major awards, and it was even adapted into a film. It just resonated with so many people of all ages.
So what was it? What made this particular story so powerful? How did this young adult novel become such a vital piece of our modern conversation? Well, that's what we're going to dig into. Let's explore the real-world events and the deep themes that really fueled its impact.
Okay, first up, the spark of protest, the true story behind the fiction. To really get this book, you have to understand where it came from. Its origins are actually rooted in a real-life tragedy that the author, Angie Thomas, felt very, very personally.
So, while she was in college, Thomas was just profoundly affected by the police shooting of Oscar Grant. But as she says here, it wasn't only the event itself. It was the conversations that happened afterward, the way people tried to justify it. That's what really struck a chord and made her feel like she had to respond somehow.
So, she started writing. That first short story came from a place of frustration, and a real desire to just try and bridge this gap in understanding. And that little seed of an idea, that would eventually grow into the novel we all know as The Hate U Give. All right, Section 2. Starr Carter's Two Worlds, the conflict at the heart of the story. Now let's see how that real-world spark ignited the fictional world she created. And at the center of it all is her protagonist, a 16-year-old girl named Starr Carter.
And what's really interesting here is how the author put so much of her own life into this character. This idea of living a double life, it's not just a plot point. It's a lived reality, and that's what gives Starr's journey so much authenticity and emotional punch.
This right here, this really lays out Starr's daily reality. She is constantly moving between these two completely different worlds. In her home neighborhood, Garden Heights, she's one person. But at her fancy, mostly white private school, Williamson Prep, she's someone else entirely, always careful about how she talks and how she acts, just to fit in. It's this constant code switching.
And that fragile balance she's been maintaining her whole life, it is completely shattered by one single traumatic event. Starr becomes the only witness when a white police officer shoots and kills her unarmed childhood friend, Khalil. And that moment forces her two worlds to just collide, and it kicks off the entire story.
Okay, on to Section 3, Unpacking the Hate. These are the powerful themes that really drive the whole narrative. The title of the book is actually a reference to an idea from the rapper Tupac Shakur, that the hate you give to little infants, well, it messes everybody up. It's this idea about how systemic hate creates a vicious cycle. So let's unpack that.
So first and foremost, the book does not pull any punches. It confronts the reality of racism and police brutality head-on. And just like the real events that inspired it, the story shows Khalil's death not as some random, isolated tragedy, but as a symptom of a much bigger, systemic problem.
And this brings us right back to Starr's personal struggle, this theme of dueling identities, which is absolutely central to her story. She's always caught in this tension between who she really is and how the outside world, especially her white friends at school, see her and her community.
There's actually a term for what Starr is going through. It's called double consciousness, a concept from the scholar W.E.B. Du Bois. It's this feeling of two-ness, of always having to see yourself through the eyes of a society that might be prejudiced against you. Imagine that constant mental work. It's exhausting, and it's the internal battle Starr is fighting the whole time.
And all of that leads to another absolutely crucial theme, the power of language and finding your voice. At first, Starr is terrified to speak out about what she saw. She's worried about her family's safety. But her whole journey is about moving past that fear and realizing that her voice is the most powerful weapon she has in the fight for justice. So, let's get into our final section, A Mirror and a Voice, the author's ultimate goal. Beyond just telling a gripping story, what did Angie Thomas really hope to accomplish with this novel? What was the point of it all?
Well, her primary goal, as she says right here, was to provide a mirror. She wanted young Black readers, especially Black girls, to see themselves in Starr, to feel seen, to feel understood, and to know that they are not alone in their experiences.
But at the very same time, the book is also meant to be a window. It's for people who maybe don't share these experiences. The hope is that by stepping into Starr's world, readers can build empathy and get a much deeper understanding of a life that's different from their own.
And what's so fascinating is that in the process of writing Starr's journey to find her voice, the author herself felt empowered. As she says here, telling this story actually strengthened her own resolve to speak up and speak out more.
And that really just leaves us with the final thought. The Hate U Give is so much more than a novel. It's a powerful reminder that using our voices is the antidote to the hate we're given. It's really a call to action, asking every one of us to think about the incredible power we all have to speak up and create change.